Why is there a guy getting molested by rabbits?
Sort of like jet lag without moving.
They look really short.
So are they mutant rabbits?
Yeah, something like that.
Or that.
Or exactly that.
This is the politically correct way to say something. This is reality.
Sounds good.
I like it so far.
Yeah. You guys are no fun.
Whenever you want to start the show, that's fine.
Wait, we're doing a show?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mark, and you're listening to What Do We Know?
So I'll start the topic for today. As you might now know, I have a new laptop. Last time we had a show, there was quite a bit of problem with my microphone, but
Actually, for the listeners, that was like 2 shows ago.
right, okay. But so I was having problems with my microphone and also my keyboard. The column where the JK area is, that
LOL.
column of letters, they would be pressed together whenever I just typed one letter. So then, right to the pain in the ass.
It took me a minute to get what Mike just said. I got off of work, so I'm a little slow, but I get it. I like that joke.
Thank you.
And then on top of it, my internet would go in and out. So it was a 2007 MacBook. I treated it like shit. To be honest, I really treated it horribly, and it done quite well. Sure, it was chipped on the sides and edges, and I dropped it a couple times, and my wife threw up on top of it when she was sick once, and then I was drinking wine and didn't hold my glass very well and poured wine on top of my MacBook. So for all the shit that I did to that MacBook, it held up really well. And I'll give Apple my seal of approval for that brand of computers. But now I have a new computer, and I decided not to go with Apple.
You sound like you have lots of good reasons to not go with Apple after what you just said.
Right. So this is the reason why. Apple hardware, by how roughly I treated it, I would say is pretty good. And I'm talking about PCs, not their, phones, because they're having issues right now. But I hated their operating system. I just couldn't use it at all. And I've been using Windows 8, and I know everybody hates Windows 8. But to be honest, I don't think it's so bad now. Given it a couple of weeks, and the more I work around with it, the more I actually like it.
So, did you install Classic Shell?
No. This is just straight Windows 8. Now, there are issues which I don't understand why Microsoft doesn't fix them. But overall, I like the operating system. I think it actually looks really nice.
So, let me ask you something. What Skype are you using?
I'm actually using the one for desktop because the one for Windows 8 doesn't work. Well, it does work, but it doesn't work for me because one of the things that Microsoft that I really hate that they do in Windows 8 is they try to make you have a Hotmail account or some kind of account that's Microsoft based, like Bing based. And like everything that I do sometimes in Windows 8, they're like, "Do you want me to sync it with your Windows, your Hotmail account?"
It's my Gmail account's what my Microsoft account is. They let you sign up with your other accounts as your main account.
I don't know. I've been having a little bit of issues with that, but that's not even my biggest issue with Windows 8 right now. Every once in a while, that little Windows icon in the bottom left that you're supposed to press to get into like the Metro tile system, it just doesn't work. Like I actually click on it and it does absolutely nothing. If I hit the button on my keyboard, it'll go to the Metro tile, but it's just like some kind of stupid error that they have on the operating system where you have to either shut down like explorer.exe and then have it restart for it to work, or restart your computer. But it's not a big issue. It's just something.
So
really that should be
with Windows 8 for me, like I've always thought about going to a Mac.
Yeah.
But I'm getting old, and the older I get, the more kind of crotchety and resistant to change I'm becoming. And so, and I know that's not a good reason to not do anything, but that's the reason why I have not gone to Mac, because I'd have to learn the whole operating system over again.
See,
And
oh, go ahead.
so the biggest thing for me with Windows 8 is, you said you bought a laptop, right, Mark?
Right.
The pad where you move your finger around to move the mouse around.
Yeah.
All the shortcuts on there, I cannot stand those. I'm constantly bringing up stuff that I don't want to bring up. I just want to move the mouse around.
But you can turn those off.
I know I need to, and I haven't yet. But yeah, I'm constantly switching windows when I don't want to, or something crazy.
So,
But as far as like, I don't think I do anywhere near as much with my computer as you guys do. It's usually just hop on the internet for a couple minutes to manage my fantasy football team or something, maybe check email, but that's about it. Now I know Jeff especially does, way more stuff with his computer than I do. But, for a casual user, I don't think Windows 8 is so bad.
So you know what I recently got is my desktop has Windows 8 on it, but I have Classic Shell installed on it, so it pretty much works like, Windows 7, and I Skype for desktop and all that fun stuff. I guess Windows 8, better memory management, blah, blah, blah. What I did recently get, though, is I bought a Chromebook.
a Chromebook, really?
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting.
So it was extremely cheap, which is why I bought it. My laptop was from 2004, the one I still had, and then I got one from work, so I didn't need my own personal laptop. And now that I don't have a laptop from work anymore, I needed something better. And I bought it specifically for battery life. The battery life on it is 9 hours, and it actually does last 9 hours. So I can unplug it. I have it sitting with me all day long, back and forth through the house, doing it, especially football Sunday, watching the fantasy team and all that stuff. And it lasts all day without having to plug it in again. It's great. But it definitely has its issues because it has one of those trackpads like you're talking about, like an iPad or like one of the MacBooks does. There's one trackpad, which is the button as well. It's not like buttons below it. There's a left click button and a right click button and things like that. It's one trackpad and one button. And to right click anything, you have to use two fingers and tap on the trackpad. But if you do it just the wrong way, it also clicks the link that you're going to. And it gets so frustrating to actually just maneuver around with basic maneuverability that I find would be easy to do, as well as the fact that it doesn't have like Microsoft Office. It can't open zip files. So there's some issues I'm definitely running into with it. But it is something cheap that can get most things done. I need to.
So this is one of the things that I find really interesting because I specifically went back to the Windows 8 structure because I actually like Microsoft operating system over a Mac operating system. And I know, Mike, you specifically said that you didn't want an Apple because you're resistant to change. But Apple might be your best option because one of the biggest problems I have with Apple is it wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do with it. And it's set up so it works really beautifully if you just want to do some simple stuff on the computer. If you want to just read read the web or type a letter or even use a little bit of video editing, great. But it won't let you really delete stuff the way that I would want it deleted, or it installs programs so much easier than most things on Windows. So I think the way I'll put it is, if you're really bad with computers, Macs are really just like magic.
Well,
but if you're pretty good with computers, you might be upset with how much micromanaging that it does for you.
But at the same time, if from a PC, you can go buy Windows and install it on pretty much any hardware out there, but then you might run into hardware compatibility issues with different programs, things like that. And Macs are all specifically made to run these specific programs to get certified, and that's like all they do. The versatility of them is very minimal, as well as the price point is huge.
Right.
That's one. Excuse me. That's one reason I will never go to a Mac. Not only because I don't understand the operating system, but that's just because I've never used it. It's not like it's a difficult operating system from what I understand, but I will never pay that much money to have more basic functionality than I can get.
Well, and you know what's funny? You bring that up. I'm on my second iPhone now, and I'm getting ready to come up on my, contract being up or whatever, or due for an upgrade here in, I think it's December or January, something like that. And I'm going through the same thought process I did 2 years ago when I got this iPhone. Do I really want to switch away from iPhone? Because like you said, like they have all these products that just work on Apple. So now I'm integrated into iTunes, and I've made purchases on there that aren't going to transfer over to other stuff. I mean, you can still listen to the stuff you purchased, but you can't just flip it over to a new phone. If you go,
Apple's very good at integrating all its proprietary software.
Right. And it makes things really convenient, like you guys were talking about, because I can literally just, transfer this stuff all over to the new phone and I'm good to go. But, if I ever want to get away from Apple, it makes it a pain in the butt.
Right. So, like, if you want to use your iPhone with your Apple MacBook computer, it works beautifully. If you want to use your Apple product with your Apple product, magic. It doesn't work as well with other products, but
and if you want to use your iPhone 3 charger with your iPhone 5, wait a minute. However, if I want to use
they're good at making money.
However, I want to use my current charger with my camera and any other possible Android phone I could ever get, I can do that.
Okay, so here's the thing. I also bought the HP because it was cheaper than a Mac. And one of the things that you said, Jeff, is that you would never buy an Apple because it's more expensive.
No, not just because it's more expensive. It's cost prohibitive. That's where the difference comes in. Like, I can get the same type of hardware with a better experience for myself for half the price. I mean, the Apples cost like over $1,000. I bought my Chromebook for $140, and I could buy a laptop like you probably did, maybe around $500, that can do anything I ever needed to do.
Well, okay, so this is my question for you, because we're all making more money than when we were teenagers, right?
Correct.
Speak for yourself.
Well, anyways,
that's why Mike works so many hours. He's got to make sure.
I got to make up
5 jobs. Oh no, that's you, Jeff. Are you willing to spend more now on brand name things, or do you think you're cheaper now, even though you have more money? Like,
I mean, I've never cared about brand name things per se. I care about something that works as I want it to, and I will not spend more money on something just because it's brand name if they're like pretty much identical products. Whereas something like peanut butter, I can't buy off-brand peanut butter because it's garbage, not because it's like I have to buy like Jif or Peter Pan or whatever, but because any off-brand peanut butter I've ever gotten is just garbage.
But how about like, have you tried off-brand other things like jam? Jam's really not that much of a difference.
Yeah,
like,
I buy off-brand. I buy off-brand that stuff all the time. But then it's funny, if you're getting into computer hardware specifically, I have bought off-brand RAM before and had it fail on me because the failure rate on that particular brand is like horrendous, whereas on-brand stuff. So I will pay more for something I know is more reliable. But if you're literally talking that you can buy this on-brand version because it has the logo across it and everybody will know it's on-brand versus the off-brand one is the exact same product, but we didn't put the logo on there, I'm not going to buy the on-brand one. I've never been the type of person to do that, and I never will be.
I don't think any of us.
How about you, Mike, though? I mean, like, you have an iPhone. Like, there are much cheaper phones that you can get. So, I mean, that's what goes against what you just said.
I don't know if there is any much cheaper phones that you can get unless you're buying it. If you're buying it off contract, possibly true, but for the most part, I think all the phones have pretty much the same price point, especially if you're getting a new contractor. Because what did you pay, like $99 for it? Maybe even free?
There's cheaper Samsungs than iPhones.
You guys are way
If I
overestimating
knew
how much
iPhone-
I'm willing to pay for a
if I knew
phone.
Samsung is going to be cheaper. I'm not going to say like by a lot, but still, like maybe $100 or $200. And then there's also
So
the Lumina that tends to be actually quite a bit cheaper, I think. So there are phones that are much cheaper for relatively the same quality. You
My
don't think so?
Samsung was $299 with contract.
Yeah.
my iPhone 4 that I'm rolling with here for the past 2 years was 99 cents when I bought it. Before that, I had a 3 that was free. So it's not like I'm gonna go out and buy the 6 this time. Like if I update, it'll be whatever's cheap.
But that's misleading because then I mean, do you factor in what you pay for your cost for your monthly contract? Because I mean,
Sure.
say
Yeah,
my phone is
absolutely.
like 10 cents, but then if you're paying like $80 a month, that might not equate the same for a 2-year contract.
Maybe you've been out of the country for too long, Mark, but I can get an iPhone or a Galaxy with my company, and it's the same monthly price. It doesn't matter. You're just paying for the
The plan
hardware
doesn't
and getting it
change based on
activated.
the phone. I mean, I guess there's
Out of the country for
like if you don't have a smartphone, you can save money because you don't have to buy data. But if you're a smartphone, no matter what brand it is, your monthly package rate is still going to be the same.
So really, it's just what you prefer.
It's really what you're willing to pay on a phone and which brand you prefer. Although now, and I haven't really looked into this yet because, like I said, I'm not due for an upgrade until December or January. But my wife was telling me that she talked to AT&T about something. I can't remember why she talked to them. But it sounds like they're
Who
kind
would
of
talk
going.
to those guys?
Oh, well, just in between contract times. I don't know why she would have called them. But it sounds like, I don't know if this is like mandatory now, like the way they're restructuring their plans at AT&T. But she was talking something about how the price of your phone is like included in the contract, but now I think they give you a new phone like every year or something. Like I was unclear on it, but it sounds like they're totally changing their contract structure.
From what I've read, they are changing the contract structure, especially with limiting to how much stuff you could download onto your phones. Like they're getting rid of the unlimited plans through Verizon and stuff. But here's the thing, though. I do know for a fact that, like, Samsung phones, brand new ones versus brand new iPhones, Samsung phones are cheaper.
I think you're wrong, unless you're maybe in the area where they're producing the black market versions of them. Because
Okay, if you were going to buy a phone without a phone contract, all right, I don't know why you would do this, but if you buy a phone with no phone contract, just to have the phone physically in your hand, it's actually like about $100 and $200 cheaper for certain, not all, but certain Samsung phones. So if you're paying the exact same price for them, you're sort of getting ripped off by your carrier.
I don't understand your logic. Like, why would you be getting ripped off by your carrier if you're paying the exact same price between the different brands? That's the choice that you have of making.
If you had, let's say, a provider like a restaurant, and the pizza's $6 and the salad's $4, but they charge you the exact same price for both products, you're getting ripped off for one of the products. So with the carrier, let's say Verizon, if they're charging you the same price for both phones and one phone's cheaper, you're getting ripped off.
Well, but who's the one saying one phone's cheaper? It's just you saying that. Like,
I'm saying that what Samsung charges for their phone.
I don't know where you're getting this data.
Apple, it's the price points they give out for the actual value of the phone.
Well, hold on.
You know what's funny is I tried
value.
to go to an electronics store and look up like prices on these phones real quick. I'm so out of the technology loop. I don't know what Samsung's most recent phone is, so I couldn't even tell you what the comparison was.
Samsung Note something. So you got the iPhone 6 and then the Samsung Note. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but I do know.
I think you have the Note 3 is out or coming out. I just got the Samsung Galaxy S5. It's the newest Galaxy that's out. I'm trying to see.
By the way,
go on.
But
let me interject for just a second. If any of our listeners are looking to buy a new cell phone, go to www.wdwkpodcast.com. Click on the Amazon widget, type in your search for either Apple iPhone or Samsung, and buy it through there. Thank you.
Actually, I was also thinking, like, isn't this something that you should research? Like, I always research stuff before I buy it. Like, I try to find the actual retail value and which one has the biggest discount, and I think we usually do that for most things.
Yeah, I think with the cell phones, I think generally speaking, I think the price is pretty close. Like maybe Samsung is a little bit cheaper, but you know, at that point, if they're both in the neighborhood, I think it just comes down to personal preference.
Yeah, I think personal preference has a big factor.
I'm looking for Okay, so iPhone S5 unlocked. This is an older thing, but it's about the last generation of them. The iPhone S5 unlocked means not locked to a carrier with a contract. $649. The Galaxy S4, $610. So if you're really considering that $40 difference when you're in the $600 price point as Samsung having cheaper phones, I mean...
But also, does that say exactly what time they came out? Did they came out at the exact same time, or as these...
The Galaxy S4 and the iPhone 5S or 5C, I don't know. They're real close. It's like the iPhone 6 versus the Galaxy S5. I mean...
It's okay. Actually, I'll let the flame war actually happen in our comment section and see what people say about fanboys ism for iPhones and Samsung. Because I'm not actually a fanboy of either. I have actually never had a smartphone, but I do like to read the comments that people have about comparatively about each. Same thing with 360 and the PlayStation 4. Is it now?
Yes, but it'd be the
Isn't
one.
it? It's Xbox One though.
Yeah, the Xbox One.
Okay, so there's another thing I wanted to talk about. I truly believe that people at Microsoft do not know how to count. And this is partly due because the next iteration of the Microsoft OS is now going to be called Microsoft 10.
Windows 10, yeah.
Yeah, Windows 10.
Yeah, they skipped 9 somewhere. Eight is so bad that they just skipped 9.
I just read an article about why they did it, and I retained zero information from it because I don't have any recollection of why. Maybe it was that bad of a reason.
This is why I heard is that because Windows 95 operating system for some programs it will malfunction because it would read that Windows 9 is like same as 95, but it's 2014. If you're still using 1995, 1998 software, we're using really old, shitty software. So you really shouldn't care about that. Update your operating system or something.
Maybe they're worried kind of like along the lines of like the Y2K thing where they don't want to run into programming conflicts or something.
So, okay, but this is, so I want to go back to why I think Microsoft can't count. Windows 7 is not the 7th operating system of Microsoft. So it should not be called Windows 7. It should be called like Windows, really like 10 or 11, depending on how you count operating systems.
I feel like you've given way too much thought to this.
No. Okay, so anyways, when you count like Windows version 1, 2, and 3, 95, 98, NT, 2000, ME, XP, Windows 7 should not be called Windows 7. It should be called Windows 10. But we have Windows 7 and 8, and the next one's going to be called Windows 10.
I think you're nitpicking. Number one, Windows NT, like that wasn't really geared towards personal use. That was more networking.
No.
You could make the same argument for.
But still,
Windows.
that doesn't drop it down to Windows 7.
Well, it might if you really started looking at it that
Okay, you
way.
take out 2000, you take away ME because you just hate ME so much that it just didn't exist to you. Okay, then let's talk about their.
Hold on, I want to try to get logic behind Windows 7 for a second because I might be onto something here. So there was so Windows 95,
95,
Windows
98. And I'm not talking about second editions either, like 98 second
XP, yeah,
edition.
you're right. I can't get there at all.
Yeah, so anyways.
So
and then,
why was it 3.11 for work groups? Like,
yeah, because I'm not talking about the point ones because, okay, I'll give them the point ones and the second editions and not count those as separate operating system. But let's talk about the Xbox. You have the Xbox. You have the Xbox 360. What is the new Xbox called? The Xbox One.
well, maybe they realized that going in a complete circle with the 360 got them nowhere, so they wanted to start going off 1 degree at a time
Yeah.
in a new direction.
So if I were to say one thing about Microsoft is they should at least get their numbers down into the right order.
I feel like you should get a hobby.
I should get a hobby. Oh,
Yeah, and be less concerned with Windows version.
okay. I'll get into fantasy football.
Okay,
There you go.
So here's the reasoning behind Windows 7. I just found it if you care to know, or if you just want people to guess.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
apparently it goes on versioning numbers. So 95 and 98 must have been 4, in the 4 range. Then when they switched over to XP, it was 5s and 5.1 internally for whatever reason. Vista was 6, and therefore the new one was 7. Why XP and Vista aren't on the same plane if 95 and 98 are, I'm not really sure, but that's what it says.
So then,
They made up a story after they did it to try to explain why they did it. Because they were like, man, we messed up in counting. How can we explain this?
Huh.
Well, it's like, why is the Wii, the newest Wii, called the Wii U? I mean, at least PlayStation is PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4.
no, that's too simple.
But Wii
People would understand that.
Wii U. So
I think they were trying to play on the word, like the pun. Sorry. We, then you, and then next version of
the we them,
the we
the
them,
we us,
the we
the we.
Somebody
there.
else.
I don't know.
I don't know. Naming of that stuff doesn't make any sense at all.
Hey kids, want to follow us on social media? Like the What Do We Know Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at WDWK Podcast. Email us at WDWKpodcast@gmail.com or find us at our home on the interwebs, WDWKpodcast.com.